live to Facebook. Hello, Miss Linda.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us tonight. This is your first Facebook Live ever, is that correct?
It is, and I'm totally looking forward to seeing what that means.
Well, the good thing about Facebook Lives is that this will show back up as a post, so you can go back and rewatch it anytime you want to.
Okay.
Wonderful. So for those just tuning in, my name is Allison. I'm part of the INSP social media team. Our guest needs no introduction, but this is Miss Linda Evans, actress. You know her best as Audra Barkley from The Big Valley, and she's here tonight to help us celebrate The Big Valley's 55th anniversary. So thank you so much for joining us. What goes through your mind when you hear that The Big Valley is 55 years old?
I can't even believe it. It's just amazing to think I did something 55 years ago that people still want to see. I mean, it's just shocking.
Yeah, and that people want to watch all the time. It is, and that your fan base has followed you this far. I love that. That's longevity.
I have two kinds of fans. They come up to me on the street and they say Crystal or Audra, and then I know exactly where they're coming from.
That's funny. Well, yesterday was the actual anniversary. I'm going to give a quick plug for this Saturday, September 19th on INSP. We're airing a Big Valley anniversary roundup, and it's going to be 7 straight episodes, a little mini marathon of 7 episodes of Big Valley starting at 11/8 Eastern. So for those watching out there, please feel free to tune in. You want more information, head over to insp.com. And we have a ton of questions. Once we started promoting that we're going to be talking to you, everybody came out of the woodwork. We have people on social media. They logged in through our website to send questions. We know people were asking you a bunch of questions. So we will have a good source of insightful fan comments and questions for you to get through tonight. Before we get into that, I just want to take a moment to say that Miss Linda is beaming in from Washington State. If you didn't know, she's over on the West Coast. And we just want to say we're thinking of you guys on the West Coast and everything that you guys are experiencing with the wildfires. I know it's devastating out there, but we have you all in our thoughts. So I don't know if you are experiencing any of that, but we hope everything ends quickly. So let's get right to the questions here. All right. Everybody wants to know, first question off the bat. What was it like the first time you met Barbara Stanwyck?
I was so scared, you can imagine. I mean, I was working with a living legend. Oh my gosh. I'd seen her in a few movies, and I was so intimidated that when I walked on the set, she was there, and I walked up to her. My heart was beating so fast, and she's so warm and so loving. Thank God. Thank God. And I walked up to her. My first thought was, oh my gosh, she's so much shorter than I thought, because on the screen, she's bigger than life. I mean, she's 10 feet tall, and you think I'm going to walk up and she's going to just be, there looking down at me. But wow, you can never mistake tiny for her. She is mighty. She is powerful. There's nothing about her tiny. And from the get-go, she called me Audra. I mean, she never, ever called me Linda. I was Audra to her, and she just took me under her wing and could not have made me feel more comfortable.
She was in your life for 25 years, right? I mean, you guys were together for a long time, even well after the show.
No, since Big Valley, she was in my life till she passed. She said, my mom passed away during Big Valley. And she came up to me, she said, I will never replace your mom, but I'll be your mom now. She put her arms around me, and boy, she was there for everything.
I love that. That's so kind. What kind of relationships did she have with the rest of the cast? Obviously, you two were super tight, but I'm guessing you were her, as her only daughter, you might have been her favorite daughter then, right?
Well, yeah, I was her favorite daughter for sure. But, she was known as the ultimate professional. And that what was so beautiful about her was she treated everyone with so much respect, not just the family, the actors or the guest actors, but the crew. She is known. She knew every crew member's name. she would walk by, Sam, how's your dog? Is it any better? Hey, Jack, is your son gone off to school? I mean, she knew everyone there and everyone was a part of her family.
Oh, I love to hear that. That's special because that doesn't always happen with everyone. So
I've never met it since.
you
I've
never
never
met.
come across anyone who does what she did.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Let me dive into a question from Patty on Facebook. She wants says, the scenes you did with Bradford Dillman and Robert Walker Jr. were very realistic in that you looked like you were really being harmed. Now, was it difficult to do without being hurt? And I know you mentioned that you like to do your own stunts because Barbara liked to do her own stunts, right?
I know. Where do we begin? Because I remember, I'll go into the stunt part before I talk about that particular scene. But one day we were filming in the beginning of the show, and one of the producers came up and said, you know, Missy loves to do stunts, and we're going to shoot her in the runaway buggy, and it would be just so cool if you would be in the buggy with her. And we didn't have to have a stunt double, then we could have the camera on the both of you. And I thought, well, I mean, if she's going to do it, I mean, I'm certainly not going to be in trouble. I mean, she wouldn't do it if it was dangerous, right? So I said, okay, sure, I'll do it. And I remember she was so excited, and we get in the buggy and the horses started running, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, you could die from something like this. And she was in her glory. She took those horses and she was just trying to rein them in. And when we finished, she was beaming. She was, that fun, Audra? Isn't that the best? And I knew that from then on, whenever we had a script that had a stunt in it, the minute I got on the set, she'd run to me and say, we're going to do the, I mean, we bonded in a way in those things so beautifully that I look forward to that every time, because there was no way I could please her more than showing up for one of those. And so when we did the scene with Robert Walker Jr., there's no way anyone, what was beautiful about her is she was a lioness and I was her cub, and no one could have hurt me on that show. No one could have touched me. No, she was very protective of me and that I'd be all right in all possible ways, which was incredibly dear and touching. So they orchestrated things very, very carefully in that show. And no, I wasn't harmed at all. They're professional actors. They don't ever have them harm you or do anything to you. As a matter of fact, as I recall, Missy was only hurt once, and we did a show that had to do with an earthquake. And we were in this church, I think it was, and they had all sorts of things happening in this set, shaking. And one thing flew off and hit her on the head and she had a concussion. Of course, everyone went crazy because it was, oh my God, she's down, you know, but thank God she was fine. I think they had to give her a few days off because you don't hit the star in the head with a big stone.
Well, on that note, did you also do your own riding? Michelle wanted to know, did you do your own riding? If so, you're a wonderful horsewoman.
Oh, well, you're very sweet. You're very, very sweet, because I did not know how to ride when I started Big Valley. They took me out in the back lot and they put me on a horse and they said, okay, let's teach you how to ride. And I remember the first few shows that I saw, I was so embarrassed because I was coming in, it was just sort of bouncing all around. And I thought, okay, I'll get the hang of this. This will work out sooner or later. So no, I did not know how to ride. And they taught me, Big Valley taught me how to ride.
Did you keep riding after the show ended? Had you done that throughout your life?
Well, yes. And because my husband loved horses and owned horses, so he bought me my own horse, actually, after Big Valley was over. And it was a big to-do because I couldn't at one point get on him, and I couldn't figure out why I was having trouble. And he said, well, just get on him. I said, I know how to get on a horse, but I can't get on him. It turns out that we thought that he wasn't still a male horse, and they had sold him to us without telling us he was. So he said, I'll show you how, but he didn't know that. He got on him, and when he got kicked off, pushed off, bucked off, then we knew it was a problem. I actually had to get my stunt woman from Big Valley Jeannie, she took him because it was too much of
Oh,
a worse for me.
oh, well, at least you know he went to a good home.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, she could handle him. She could have. See, we had stunt women. Missy was wonderful. We would never have not given a stunt woman their opportunity to write or to have a job. And there are things like falling downstairs. I don't do it. She doesn't do that kind of thing. But the things that we did in the show, we always had a stunt woman there, and she always was paid so that she had her job. And they became our friends.
Oh, well, that's sweet. I love it. It sounded like everybody was friends on the show. I love the sound of that. We have had, so fans are writing in about the Barkley brothers. I mean, I cannot tell you how many people asked multiple questions about the brothers. So we're going to dive into a few of these. Did you have a favorite brother? Because everybody wants to know which one was your favorite. And not just your brother, but your favorite co-star, if you will, who had to play your brother. I know that's a hard question.
That is just painful because they were each dear to me, and each of them have a place in my heart. So to say I have one favorite, it's like, oh my God, how do you do that? I can't do that. I can't do that. Even if they all weren't alive, I wouldn't do that because it's not true. You know, I think it's wonderful that I was able to be in 2 shows that had to do with the family, and that I had such incredible people to work with. Lee Majors stands out because I met Lee Majors before Big Valley. I was at someone's home. He came into town with his wife and his baby. His first day in town, came to this person's house, and I met him, and he told me his name, and we met and said hello. We never knew we'd ever see each other again. And then when it came to Big Valley, we had to test. Heath and Audra had to test, and there were 3 women and 3 men, and I ended up testing with him. Why him? I don't know either, but it was just such an irony that I heard about his hopes and dreams of being, in show business. And at the time he wasn't even doing that. He was working with the recreational parks and things like that, that we ended up together, and that they chose us just as very dear. We sort of did it together.
And you had been auditioning